Think about Open Door. Many of those iBuyers, they're great. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Crappy flippers are probably out of the market. Bad real estate agents, bad loan officers. So we've kind of had a thinning of the herd. And what I want to do is I want to get you back on track as it relates to how can you succeed and win in 2025.
Welcome to Raising the Flipping Bar, the go-to podcast for aspiring and seasoned real estate investors. I'm your host, Marlin, and I'm the CEO of Renovation. We're a real estate investment company based right here in Denver, Colorado. We'll dive into smart investment strategies, market insights, and essential tips for scaling your real estate ventures. Whether you're making your first investment or your 100th investment, this podcast is your blueprint for success in the ever-evolving world of real estate investing. Get ready to elevate your real estate game and begin your journey with me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Raising the Flipping Bar. I'm your host, Marlin, and I've been getting a lot of people asking questions. Hey, what's going to help key you up for success in 2025? And how do you flip your properties most successfully? So that's something we're going to dive into today. I think you absolutely have to stick out from a design perspective, and I think you have to be priced right from day one. So let's jump right into today's episode. So I kind of want to set the stage. I want to be a little nostalgic. We've had some good wins lately on some flips. We've had a couple rough ones in 2024. So I want to go back to the good old days. Everybody close your eyes. Remember what 2020, and I should be sensitive. Yes, that there was COVID. So as the world was turning, some shit was happening. But from a real estate perspective, 2020 through like spring of 2022, those were the good old days. So if you close your eyes and if you think back to every property went under contract and then you're like, how much over asking is it going to be? Is it going to be 25 grand? Is it going to be 50? Is it going to be 100 grand over asking? Even if it was like remotely priced right, everything just became like a freaking home run. And I think so many buyers would see what we call Home Depot flips. And that was like where they'd look at 5 or 6 properties. Every property looked the exact same. And I hate to say it, but it's just kind of low end crap from Home Depot from a design perspective. Now, don't get me wrong. Depot folks, like, don't hate on me. We love you guys for lumber. We love you for drywall. We love you for, kind of those raw materials. But in my opinion, if you're doing a flip, you shouldn't be sourcing your materials from Home Depot. But it didn't matter. Think about Open Door. Everybody loved Open Door back in the day. They were like the darling of the real estate industry. They were buying horrendous properties. They were maybe sinking 25 grand into them. They were doing horrible rehabs. They were the most janky layouts. They backed to major streets and they were still flipping them 30 days later and making monstrous profits. So those were the good old days. For our company, it was the good old days too. Every deal we did, I went and looked back for this episode to kind of prep. In 2021, every deal we did was at least $100,000 net profit. And not to say I was the smartest guy in the room, we underwrote every deal as the double. Again, I'm a sports guy. Like we came in hitting a double and everything became a grand slam. So even I took my foot off the gas just a little bit. So what I wanted to do in today's episode is I want to come back down to earth. I want to obviously bring up that the market has corrected. Volume for 2024 was at record lows, probably over the last 20 to 25 years. There's a lot more inventory on the market, meaning buyers have more choices. Obviously, rates are higher, and it's a little bit tougher as we're now in the first inning of 2025. Think about Open Door. Many of those iBuyers, they're great. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Crappy flippers are probably out of the market. Bad real estate agents, bad loan officers. So we've kind of had a thinning of the herd. And what I want to do is I want to get you back on track as it relates to how can you succeed and win in 2025. So for today's episode for 2025, we're going to talk about design trends. I think this is something that's obviously super, super important. I want to kind of frame this with 3, let's call them overarching themes. Not only that are we seeing it at Elevation, I've done kind of a lot of homework on this to see what are people doing across the country and what's most important. So if you're in Colorado and you're in Denver, I think this episode is really going to hit home. But I think for those folks listening out of state, these are kind of national design trends that I think are going to tee you up for success, whether you're flipping in California or Florida or Washington or wherever. The number one point is multifunctional layouts or multi-purpose layouts versus just kind of that air quotes open floor plan. Obviously, you do not want to have very small compartmentalized properties, but you have to have them as multifunctional properties and multifunctional purposes within each area. So let's talk about multifunctional layouts and spaces versus just kind of that air quotes open floor plan. And so to me, this is super important on smaller projects, especially ones with like really funky basements. I think that's something that's really important in central core Denver. There's great properties that are not big and they've got these quirky layouts. They've got funky basements. You need to be really, really tactical in how can you have multiple, uses for a specific space. So I'll bring up one of our projects that we did in 2022, and I think this would be even more important today. And it's a part of central Denver where this house was about 800 square feet above grade, meaning on the main floor, and it was about an 800 square foot basement. But the layout was super funky. So what we did is we maximized the basement, and it gave us this cool kind of like small lounge area, this really neat kind of integrated new washer and dryer space. And then you could also use part of it as either an office and or a workout area. So we knew the buyer demographic and the profile of person was probably a young professional, maybe a super small starting family. They need a lot of different options for that basement. And so you had to really, really think through what's the best way to make this thing multifunctional versus just, again, air quotes, open layout. And then to kind of piggyback on that, staging. Staging was super important. We don't always stage basements, but on average now we're probably staging about half of our basements because even in small areas, and I know people do virtual staging, just go look it up. There's a bajillion statistics that show that real staging is going to sell your house for more money and sell it faster. So flip tip, just freaking stage your houses. But from a basement perspective, I think you honestly need to stage smaller spaces. And it's more important because people just don't know what to do with them. And weirdly, it feels smaller if you don't have furniture versus if you can show them how the functionality flows and how things work, you're going to win, I think, and get a better sales price. So now that we've discussed kind of that multifunctional layout, let's talk about eco-friendly and durable materials. I definitely think this is huge and in play in Colorado. We want everything to be as eco-friendly as possible. I will kind of put a little asterisk on this point in that it still has to be kind of sensitive to your price and to your budget. You can't make everything insanely eco-friendly. Everything can't be, LEED certified. But I'm going to hit on a couple different areas that where we're focusing that I think get you great bang for your buck. It gives your agents the ability to promote that in the listing and really does help, kind of help look out for the environment, if you will. Like we're here updating these houses that are super inefficient from an energy perspective. And so I think it's something that's really important. Kind of a quick little tip is I'll give you, we're using LVL, which stands for luxury vinyl laminate. It's that click-in laminate that kind of looks like hardwood, but it's super durable. And the other nice thing is you've got a lot of options and you're only talking a difference of maybe 50 cents a square foot. And really, if you factor in the stuff that you put under it, it's called under laminate. You can buy plastic, again, not very eco-friendly, or you can buy products that have a cork product underneath. And so it helps absorb the sound. It helps really, really make sure that you've got that, less give, and it gives you flexibility with how you can lay out your flooring plan. And then it helps you from a moisture and a mold perspective. So little things like that, I think, go a long way and give you the ability to kind of check that eco-friendly box without like killing yourself and breaking the budget. The other thing is kind of being in tune with your particular location. So we just got done with, I want to say it was like 2 days ago, we visited a consulting client and we're doing a really nice Boulder property with them. And the back end sales price point is going to be 1.25 million. So to me, there's like two super key things that you need to focus in on with this example. A, you're doing a project in Boulder. Like that buying demographic is far more eco-friendly than Metro Denver anyways. They're probably driving up in their Tesla or their Rivian to look at this property. So you need to be more eco-friendly. The good thing is that you've got a bigger budget to do that with, which is super helpful. And then the listing price point. So those are kind of just, that example just came up to me as I was preparing my notes for today's episodes. Think about where you're doing that versus if you're selling a condo and probably first-time home buyer in Aurora, probably not as worried about eco-friendly products. So now that we've mentioned our Boulder property, I want you guys to take out your pens and pencils. I want you to get ready because I'm going to give you 3 super, super dialed flip tips that are not only going to save you money, but again, be eco-friendly and budget conscious. So, okay, guys, number 1 is the Nest thermostat. or a digital thermostat, something that just looks sexy, but then also gives you the ability to program so that when you and your family aren't home, you're obviously not wasting more money on your energy bills. So number one, Nest thermostat. Second one, simple, not rocket science here, but can lighting, but LED style can lighting. It's not that expensive. It just has a good, clean look. It saves, again, tons of money on your energy bills. You're even able to get Excel energy credits sometimes for some of these updates. But you also have multiple modes that you can set your lighting to so that, again, if your 16-year-old daughter is doing her makeup in one area, you got, your reading nook in another area, you can do different styles of light and it just looks really great. So number two, LED lights. Let's go to number three. And that one is, I like this because it's kind of a 2-for-1 in that it's a little more expensive, but it's a huge bang for your buck. And number three are furnaces. You can do a new furnace, but it's a big difference between whether it's kind of the run of the mill entry level 80% efficient furnace, which means it's going to run a lot. It's going to run all the time. It's not that efficient to heat the home versus, let's say, like a 94 or 96% efficient furnace. Yes, you're talking about a difference in most homes of between $1,000 and $2,000 for that type of product, and then the ductwork that you have to put in. But two things that it helps you. A, it helps you on the listing side so that you can promote that you have a high efficiency furnace. And then you can typically get rebates. Again, kind of another level of a flip tip is make sure you get the rebate and not your contractor because you're the one paying for that. So as we kind of pause, let's look at those 3 flip tips. I think those are ways, again, eco-friendly, and it gives you the ability to kind of stay on your budget. And I think those things are going to be super important when you think about, okay, how do I look at holistically design in 2025? Kind of a third big bucket that kind of really gives you the best overarching chance for success for design features in 2025 is the connection between indoor and outdoor spaces. Let's obviously be honest. We live in Colorado, and the huge advantage is the amazing 4 seasons that we have in our state. And a lot of that functionality is that indoor, outdoor living. And so for me, I think a good example of this is there's a lot of ranch style properties in, let's give you 2 examples, like University Hills neighborhood in Denver or the Welsher neighborhood in Denver. They're great homes. They're single story. There's no basement. And either their back porches have been finished over the years, and it gives you more living space. Or if not, you're able to kind of make that your backyard oasis. Or if it was finished, spending on average about $5,000 to pour a small patio for concrete, to do some planters, maybe a pergola, to do some mulch, kind of a gardening area. It's not very expensive, but it makes, you always talk about curb appeal coming into the front. There's almost curb appeal going out to the back as well. And so it's just a great bang for your buck of that indoor outdoor living transition, because there's nothing better than being able to hang out on a beautiful night in Colorado, cook your meal, go sit outside with your family, have a glass of wine, and it's this seamless transition. In the best case scenario, if you can have windows to make that an unimpeding view of your backyard oasis, that's going to be perfect and spot on. So think back to our ROI episodes and our discussion on return on investment. You usually want to double that return on investment. So don't go overboard too. If you're spending $5,000 on that little mini backyard oasis, we feel pretty confident, and hopefully you can see this in the comps, that you're going to be able to sell that thing for $10,000 or more compared to a property that doesn't have that. So again, wanted to set the stage for like high level overarching ways that we're leaning into unique design trends for 2025. But with that, I want to get a little more granular.
So we're going to take a quick break and tell you about the next Elevation Academy. If you're looking to dive deep into real estate investing, this is definitely the event for you. Our academy features over a 100-step process to help you navigate every single thing from market analysis all the way down to every aspect of project management. So this is tailored for both beginners and seasoned investors. And our one-day intensive training will equip you with the strategies and insights needed to elevate your real estate investing game. Spots are definitely limited, so click on the link below in the show notes to sign up and transform your approach to real estate investing. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
So now that we've kind of done that overarching 2025 design areas that you should be focusing on, again, for Denver, for all of the United States, let's dive into the Elevation 2025 fixture and finish package and what we're doing right now to help our houses sell faster, for more money, and to most importantly, make your stuff stick out. So I think probably the way that we set the stage for this is people are going to say, well, what the hell's a fixture and finish package? Think about it as all the pretty things in a house that really stand out and make your house sizzle. So I always had an old sales manager, and he's like, are you selling the steak or are you selling the sizzle? The steak is the house, it's the bones of the property, it's the size, it's the layout, but the sizzle or the fixture and finish package are paint colors, tile, faucets, light fixtures, all the pretty stuff that you put in the house. And if you want to go back and listen to one of our prior episodes to talk about rehab budgeting, this is the stuff on average that you're going to be spending between $2,500 and $5,000 on, all in, for your whole house. So again, we're not talking about stuff that's breaking the bank, but it can make a monstrous difference. So as we talk about that for maximum ROI, really to me, the main place you want to start is the kitchen. I think that's something that is so important for maximum ROI on your fixture and finish package. And here's the reason why. If a homeowner is going to buy a house and it is less expensive and it's pretty crappy and beat up, and you're going to, jump online and grab somebody from Angie or search home remodeling or kitchen remodeling, they're going to get a bid that's probably double what you as an investor should be able to accomplish the rehab for. So to me, it's like a huge bang for your buck on investing your money in the kitchen versus pricing it for less and them having to do their own kitchen. A quick little flip tip that has helped us a lot in the kitchens are doing two-tone cabinetry. And not to say that hasn't been going on for a while, but leaning back into those natural colors, those neutral colors, those earth tones. And so right now we're doing a really awesome flip in the Homestead Farms 2 neighborhood. So that's a nice part of Centennial. It's Cherry Creek homes. Typically everything in that neighborhood is going for between $1 million and 1.5. And so we're doing this beautiful navy color, like a deep navy for the lower cabinets. And then we're doing, it's called sand is the name of the color for the upper cabinets. So think like super cool boutique hotel. Think, like a beautiful restaurant that has that nice, deep, rich kind of sand type of color. And I think that's the way that you can help give yourself some design inspiration. When you've got your kitchen cabinet set, you then have your countertops, which you put in, which normally we're doing in that price point, you're doing either marble or you're doing really nice quartz. Even though in our fixture and finish package, we have 3 options of what we're typically going to put in a house for the type of backsplash. Because again, that is a major pop area where it's a huge return on investment. Stuff is not that expensive, but it looks really, really good. We make our final decision by actually physically laying it out and seeing what the cabinets look like, what the countertops look like. Not that you always have this much time, but if you can do it early in the morning with really bright morning light versus in the evening, I just want to see what that looks like, especially in these more expensive houses. So just physically laying them out and showing you what's going on and what your buyer's going to be hopefully wowed at when they turn the corner and walk into their kitchen. That's a huge, huge bang for your buck. And the big thing is it's going to help you differentiate from kind of the run-of-the-mill Home Depot flips. So think about kitchens as a great way to really lean into your design focus for 2025. The other thing is I want to talk about color schemes. And with color schemes, for those of you guys listening, I am going to translate this. I'm doing this visual. This is the Sherwin-Williams color wheel. And with this color wheel, it literally is, I don't know how many, I'm not smart enough to count it, but like hundreds of color options. And it's just such a great, great way for you to differentiate your product. I know when people were flipping houses, like everything was gray, and I get it. And you want to appeal the widest buying audience. You don't want to like always ultra be so far outside the box. But again, the nice thing about this beautiful color wheel is we're seeing a lot when it comes to the greens. We're seeing these nice soft earth tones. Think back to that sand color that I just mentioned for the cabinets. And the other cool thing is we're creating, I'm going to use air quotes, the new white and black. Because not to say we've completely gotten away from, on the exterior, a lighter kind of whitish color with darker black or darker accent features, but you don't want to do just the screaming bright white and the ultra black. So I'm going to give you a couple things. This is one where I'd actually say if you're listening and maybe driving around, check the show notes out because we're putting the actual SKUs we do everything through Sherwin-Williams. You can have your painter's color match it if you're using Behr or going to a Gyree store or whatever else. but I'm going to give you 4 different really nice color palettes that are really helping us, I think, stand out. So I'll take you back to that Homestead Farms project, which again is over $1 million. And for the front door, the name of this color is called Cascades, and it's Sherwin-Williams product. And it's a beautiful, like, I'm going to say the main color is green, but it's got this super cool kind of blue undertone to it. So we're going to do that as the front door color because we want a lot of pop. We've got side lights, which means there's windows on each side of the door. So it's a really grand door. But then we're going to carry that same color through to one of our accent walls in the property. So it's a 2-for-1 where contractors don't have to figure out like 8 different things that they're painting in the house. And then the new, again, air quotes, the new white that we're going to use for the exterior it's called Snowbound. And that's another Sherwin-Williams product. So it's a little bit softer. It's not stark white. It leans more on kind of the cream side versus, again, you want to lean, in our opinion, out of the grays. It feels a little cold. It feels a little dated now, and lean into that. So those are 2 things you can use for, again, exterior colors for that pop on the front door. I'm going to give you guys some things we're doing right now in our project in Arvada, which is a little more hip, little cooler. It's a suburban area, but it's a great feeder system where people live in Central Core Denver. They live in the Highlands. They have a family. They want more bang for their buck. They want better schools. They move to places like Arvada. So kind of a darker accent color. And we're using this, again, I'm going to call this the new black, it's called Iron Ore. And it's this really cool black, but it's not like a dark midnight black. It almost has like a golden undertone to it. And it's really cool. It almost looks like there's a little bit of gold flecking in it. So in the light in the morning versus evening, it looks totally different, but it's kind of, again, got this like bronze hue to it, but it's kind of more in that black family. So that's a sweet color. We're using that a lot. A brand new one that we're going to roll out for this year in this project is called Laurel Woods. Again, another Sherwin-Williams color. It's kind of this cool sage green, and we're going to use that on the front door as an accent wall, and then go back and listen to an episode probably earlier than this one with our project manager, Travis. He mentioned it, but we're going to paint the doors and the casing of the doors this beautiful sage green or this Laurel Woods color. So the baseboards will still be white, but we're actually going to paint the doors green. And I think it's going to make it pop and be memorable. Because again, when buyers are out looking at 5, 6, 7, 8 homes on a Saturday with their agent and everything looks the same, they're going to remember the green doors. Now, I don't know, maybe we might turn off 5, 10, 15% of the people, but I think we can conversely argue that we're going to suck in hopefully 5, 10, 15, 20% of people that are like, oh my gosh, I love this color. I love these doors. It's not generic white like everything else. So lean into that. Going into the accent wall kind of category, if you will, that's another area, whether you're doing small offices or small areas, I should say, like an office, you're doing a breakfast nook, you're doing like a funky basement bedroom. Accent walls are really, really great ways to, change up how you're doing it. In the past, people use that shiplap material and everything was vertical. That's still fine, but we're actually making it into a chevron pattern. So it almost looks like arrows or half of a diamond. Just little nuances make things look so much better. And it's funny because now that I'm saying this out loud, what I should have done is I should have actually had my wife, Ann, on as our guest, because Ann is actually in charge of all of our interior design. And nobody likes to admit it being a dude, but women make the majority of the buying decisions, and you have to appeal to the female buying demographic. So we'll somehow find a way to wrangle Ann on the show. She's been resistant so far. So even if I have one comment, I'm going to share with her and tell her that people want you on the podcast. But in all seriousness, we need to lead into what women want. And so again, I think this can be really overwhelming. And so what we'll do is we'll really help you guys with our 2025 fixture and finish and design package. The cool thing is we've got a spreadsheet at Elevation so that you're able to start out and pick one of 7 styles as your main palette from which to draw upon. And then every single thing that we have in the house, there are 2 or 3 options. And literally, for those of you guys watching online, you'll be able to see this graphically, but you'll be able to pick out 1, 2, or 3 different light fixtures. You'll be able to pick out different faucets. You'll have multiple different tile styles, how to lay out the tile, which pattern you want to do. All those colors that we talked about, we'll integrate that in there. The cabinets, the appliances, literally like every single thing so that all the work has been done for you. And then all you need to do on that spreadsheet is just click the link. And whether you're buying it on Amazon getting it from Wayfair, getting it from Overstock, getting it from Floor and Decor. Those are a lot of our major vendors. You literally just shop online from the comfort of your living room. Maybe you've got your favorite guilty pleasure TV show on that you're binging. Like just online shop and then have it either delivered to your front door or if your contractor can receive it, have it delivered directly to the property and then build up points on your credit card and go on vacation for free. So we do a lot of the heavy lifting for you guys. So just contact us if you want to have access to that. It's something that we teach in our academy as well. So it's something that's really, really critical. So, as we wrap up today's episode, it's not this revolutionary thing, but I think it's getting back to basics because as we get into 2025, you have to make your product stick out. You have to do it in a cost-efficient manner, and you need to make it a rinse and repeatable system. So by diving into these design trends, and it's something that we update every year through our designers, which is my wife, Ann. She kind of comes from a background of high-end hospitality, high-end consulting for wedding planning and all these beautiful hotels and super fancy places. That's where this all comes from. We want to impart that to you guys. The other thing that you can do is attend one of our events. So we have a series called Fix and Flip Live where we do all this training and education for free, and you can see stuff on site live at our projects. So when I mentioned what this $1 million home in Homestead looks like, or the one in Arvada, come out to these events. We want to meet you guys. We want to interact with you guys. If you're agents, bring your clients to these things. The more, the merrier. This is definitely something that I'm super passionate about. I really hope that you guys can join us for our next Academy on March 7th. But definitely go back, listen to this episode, give us some feedback. If you've got a super cool color that you've used effectively, maybe it's also something that didn't work out so well. We will tell you guys that too. If we like bomb on this green and everybody hates it, probably going to cut the price and sell the house, but like we'll let you guys know about that too. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. We hope you guys are crushing it in 2025, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Raising the Flipping Bar. If you found value in our insights and stories, let's keep the conversation going. Connect with me on social media and be sure to share this episode with friends or colleagues who might benefit. Your feedback and reviews help us grow and reach more listeners like you. So please, if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review. Thanks again to the Elevation Academy for sponsoring today's show. If you're interested in learning more, click the link in the show notes below. And remember, every property tells a story, every deal brings a lesson. Keep reaching for those goals, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and watching Raising the Flipping Bar. Just a basic overall disclaimer is that A, this is not legal advice. B, this is not tax advice. C, this is not financial advice. I hope you get the gist, but I'm obviously not a lawyer, not a CPA. Hell, I'm not even a real estate agent, actually. But in general, we hope you get a ton of value out of this, but there is a bit of a disclaimer. Please consult a professional if you have any questions whatsoever. Thanks.